2023 Renault Austral Review. The Renault Austral is the first vehicle to be built on the new CMF-CD platform, which was developed by the Renault-Nissan Alliance. This platform enables any combination of electrification and/or combustion powertrain systems to be utilized. If our first drive of the car overseas is any indication, it confirms that it should be high on the priority list. Although the mid-size SUV has not yet been announced for Australia, it is undoubtedly a strong match here, which is why Renault remains interested in the product. The range can be kicked off with either a 1.3-liter four-cylinder mild hybrid, which is also available in two different power outputs, or a 1.2-liter three-pot full hybrid (HEV) powertrain with a 1.7 kWh battery. Both of these powertrains include 1.2 liters of displacement and 3 cylinders. Our drive begins right at the very top of the Austral range with the 146 kilowatts HEV, which comes replete with 4Control Advanced as an optional extra. Because of this four-wheel steering setup, which also includes multi-link rear suspension instead of the normal torsion beam and a speedier steering rack, the turning circle of the Austral is now a Super Mini beating 10.1 meters, which is a significant improvement over the previous 13.4 meters. Therefore, is it even remotely possible for the Austral to live up to the Alpine branding of this variant? To put it simply, yes and no. As Drive noted at the time, the Austral was unveiled in Europe in March. Now, preparations for an Australian debut have been announced as Renault seeks to achieve a greater impact with the Austral's successor than it did with the Kadjar SUV, which was the Austral's predecessor. Renault Australia is looking to drive sales growth over the next 3 years through the debut of new models, and the Austral is now a definite addition to the lineup. There are no specifics yet on prices or engine choices for local showrooms, but the Austral will be available. Glenn Seeley, the general manager of Renault Australia, was quoted in Drive as saying, "Product is crucial for us in growing our exposure in Australia." Citation needed, at this very moment, we are in the midst of launching Austral in France. It is an outstanding piece of merchandise. We are planning to bring it to Australia by the end of the year next year, if all goes according to plan. We would probably merely bring in a restricted variety of drivetrains and model lines if we did this. The Austral has a certain vivacity to it, yet in spite of this, it manages to be both cozy and, the vast majority of the time, sophisticated. The full hybrid powertrain allows you to start moving away from a stop in an extremely peaceful pure electric mode, and it is also very happy to switch into battery power at higher speeds as well as while driving around town. In the Austral Hybrid, you will spend a significant amount of time traveling on battery power even if your normal pottering takes you into faster stretches of road. Which is a good thing, considering the engine has a rumbling sound and can be rather obtrusive at times. When the gasoline engine first starts up, there is an abrupt hum, and there is also a distinct vibration. This is especially obvious when traveling at low speeds. It's almost as if a teeny-tiny plane propelled by propellers is following you in the distance. Worse than that, the clutchless dog box allows the 1.2-liter turbo unit to over-rev loudly during any remotely vigorous acceleration, and then the engine is hesitant to release those revs as you pull off the accelerator pedal. It leaves you with a powertrain that moves and feels curiously gloopy just at the point when you expect it to feel anything but that way. The majority of the time, everything works wonderfully, particularly the transmission, the motor, and the engine. Even though the Alpine model has wheels that are 20 inches in diameter, the ride quality is satisfactory. The Austral does not come equipped with adaptive dampers. However, the passive setup keeps boorish wheel bounce to a minimum while smoothing all intrusions save for larger ones. There is occasional chatter over truly patched-up local roads, but everything settles soon, and the overwhelming majority of the time you enjoy a neat and tidy demeanor that is somewhat less shaky and more encouraging than plenty of its competitors. When we talk about the cabin, we can't say enough good things about the Tesla-style touchscreen that comes standard on the Austral and comes preloaded with Google software. It has all of the features you want, like Google Maps, on a massive screen, and it also supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The graphics are crisp, the menu system is logical, and it has all of the functions you desire. The interior temperature settings are straightforward, physical toggle switches that are located beneath the display screen. Additionally, the perceived quality of the material finish is high enough to put Volkswagen and Kia to shame. In the rear, there is sufficient space for two tall persons to sit comfortably, although the full hybrid model does not have the sliding rear seats that are standard on the mild hybrid Australs. The spring-loaded 60/40th split rear seats leave a modest step up in the expanded cargo bay when they are tipped forward, too. Coupled with the fact that there is very little to no useful underfloor storage, this results in the Austral HEV having a boot space that is just 430 liters in capacity. WLTP CO2 figures from 105 grams per kilometer, an economy of over 4.7 L, 100 kilometers are usefully better than you'll see even in full hybrid rivals like the Nissan Qashqai e-Power and Toyota RAV4, so this could very well be a winner. Official figures suggest that the full hybrid technology has paid off in terms of efficiency. This Renault SUV is really well put together, and it exudes an Alpine vibe thanks to a generous sprinkling of design accessories and a chassis setup that has been well considered. Fortunately for Renault, it is still more than enough to make this one among the more fascinating choices despite the hordes of other mid-sized SUVs that are ruthlessly competitive and with which it must compete.